Hello and welcome to another video. This is Cracking the Cryptic app, Fog of War pack, puzzle number 47, Squeezed Out. The rules are: Fog of War. Correctly placed digits clear the fog around them. Classic. Every row, column, and box must have all numbers from 1 to 9 exactly once. Killer. The cells in each cage must sum up the number in the top left corner of the cage, and numbers cannot be repeated inside a cage. Arrow. The numbers along the shaft of each arrow must sum to the number at the base. Partial Kropki. A white dot between two cells indicates that the neighboring digits are consecutive. A black dot between two cells indicates that one of the digits is twice as big as the other digit. Not all possible dots are given. Lastly, we have a custom rule. All arrow sums are in single cells. There are no pill arrows. Let's begin. In the bottom right corner, we see that we have a cage that sums up to 16. It can only contain values 7 and 9, meaning that this is a 7-9 pair. Nowhere else in that box or row can you have a 7 or a 9. Up here, we have a cage that sums up to 15, and so it can only be a 6 or 6-9 pair or a 7-8 pair, and it cannot contain any other digit except for these 4 digits. Now, let's take a look at this. These two cells are on an arrow that curls to the left. We're going to color it orange. And these two cells are on an arrow shaft that goes down and to the right. We're going to color it green maybe. Now, none of these 4 cells can contain the number 9 in them, because if this was a 9, the lowest value here would be a 1. So at minimum, these two cells along the shaft would be summing up to 10. But the number in the base of the arrow must equal the number that you get by summing up the values on the shaft. So the number at the base would have to be 10, which is not possible because there are no pill arrows. Therefore, none of these can be the number 9. So where does the number 9 go in this box? Well, it can either be here or here, and it is therefore nowhere else in the same column. But without the number 9, you cannot have a 6 here to make the 15. And so this is a 7-8 pair, meaning you don't have a 7 or an 8 in that box or column. Pretty good. So now, what does that mean? That means that number 7 has to go somewhere here. That's going to be very important, but before that, let's ask the question of where does the number 8 go inside this box? Can a number 8 show up somewhere here? Well, if it could, in between these two cells, then this would have to be a 1, right? Because if it's the number 2, then that's already exceeding the maximal amount you can put at the base. So it has to be an 8-1. But that is already the maximal amount that numbers along the shaft can be. So the next number on the arrow must be the base of the arrow, because you've already reached the maximal amount. You already have the 9. However, this is the number that's on the arrow, and it cannot be the number 9. The highest value here is a 6. Therefore, neither of these values are allowed to be the number 8. It's completely the same over here. If one of them is an 8, the other one has to be the number 1, which is already the highest amount that you're allowed to sum up to, meaning that the next number must be the base of the arrow and must be the number 9, but this doesn't have 9 as a candidate. And so number 8 cannot be there. So number 8 is either here or here in this box, and it is therefore nowhere else in the same row. Now, we said before that a number 7 has to show up somewhere in between these 4 cells. However, no matter where we put it, it's going to be on an arrow shaft. Let's assume without loss of generality that it's just right here. Number 7 cannot be followed by the number 2. Well, first, it's very trivial to say it cannot be followed by a 3, 4, or higher, right? Because that would give you a value over 9. But it also cannot be followed with the number 2. Why? Because 7 plus 2 is already 9, which is the maximal amount that these cells along the shaft can sum up to, meaning that the next value on the arrow must be the base of the arrow. But neither this, nor this, if a 7 was here, is allowed to be the number 9 directly. That means that number 7, no matter where it is actually followed by the number 1. And so you have a 7, 1. That's very important. However, that means that these two cells, or these two cells, depending on where the 7 is, sum up to 8. Since these 4 cells sum up to 16, that means that the other 2 cells also sum up to 8. That's very important, because neither this nor this has the number 8 as a candidate. That means that the entire arrow is not allowed to end either here or here. Both of these cells must be a continuation of the shaft. And since over here they already sum up to 8, that must mean that in both cases they must contain the number 1, both here and here, because you cannot extend 8 by 2 and get a number that you can fill in the base of an arrow, because that would be 10, 11, 12, and that doesn't work. So both of these numbers must be the number 1. And so both arrows sum up to the number 9. Now we don't actually know if this was the 1, 7, we just concluded with a loss of generality, so we have to remove that. Okay, now a number 9 in this box has to go over here, that's the only candidate. And let's keep going. Namely, you'll see that we have a cage that goes like this, right? And down here, the cage actually does go like this. It extends to the right, but it also extends to the top. However, this is the yellow cage, and that means that this is actually one and the same cage, because both this and this extend into the same cell. There's no barriers. And if you count, you'll see that this has exactly 9 cells. And since digits cannot be repeated within a cage, that must mean that you have unique values from 1 to 9 in these 9 cells. Pretty good. Now, this shape is quite unique. If this was a number 1, this cell would see all of these cells, right? And you would not have number 1 anywhere else in them. Since numbers 1 to 9 must be somewhere here, that's a contradiction. Therefore, this number is not allowed to be the number 1. And in fact, this cell has this special property that if this was, for example, the number 2, nowhere else over here can you have the number 2. And therefore, the number 2 must go over here. It's same, no matter which value you put in here, that value gets ruled out from all of these cells that this cell sees. So if this is a free, everywhere else here you can't have a free, so the free must be over here. If that's a 4, nowhere else can you have a 4, so this must be the 4. Therefore, the value that you put inside here must be the same as what goes inside this cell. So, since this cell cannot be an 8 or a 9, then this cannot be an 8 or a 9, because these two cells must have the same value. Now, the only place left for the number 9 on the yellow cage is right here. And so this is a 9, 8, because they're consecutive. The lowest values here are 2, 3, and 4, and that already sums up to 9, so it cannot contain any values higher than 2, 3, and 4. And that gives you a 2, 3, 4 triple, which we can rule out from the same box and column. Okay, now this cannot be a 7 because number 1 isn't available here anymore. And what else can we do? Well, let's check the 16. So we know it contains a 1 and 7. And these two scenarios are the only ones that work. So in no case can this contain the number 4. It's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Yeah, that seems right. So it cannot contain the number 4 in this cage. Let's keep looking. Number 8 can go here. Actually, nowhere else here can you have a 9 or an 8, because we've already placed a 9 and an 8 in this cage. Okay, so this is 7, 2, 6, 3, 5, 4. That seems okay. And since this can only be 2, 3, or 4, that means that this cannot be 5, 6, or 7, because as we said, they have the same value. This cannot be a 4, because 4 isn't a candidate here. Okay? So this is either a 2 or a 3, meaning that this is either a 6 or a 5. So this cannot be a 1, 2, 3. And now since a 1 isn't available here, that must mean that this is the 1, 7 pair. So this is the 1, 7 pair. And now we don't have a 1 or a 7 anywhere here. Okay. What else can we do? 1, 9. 9 is either here or here, meaning it's nowhere up there. Check the 8. So the 8 has to go over here. Okay. What else? So 9. I don't see anything for the 9. Well, actually, number 1 has to go over here, because that's the only place left for it on the yellow cage. So that's the number 1. This is number 7. This is number 1. Okay. Nine, 7. Seven is either here or here. 1 has been placed. 8 has been placed also on this line. So over here, you cannot have the number 9 along the shaft, because this cannot be. So a number 9 can go on the shaft of an arrow only in a case like this, where this is the base, and then it immediately goes into another box, and it's exactly 1 cell long. And this over here is not the case. So this cannot be the number 9. And so the only other place for the 9 is over here. Okay. That's pretty good. This cannot be a 5, because then this would be a 6. That would be too high. It cannot be a 6 either, because the lowest value here is a 5. So it cannot be higher than 1. This must be the number 1. And so this is the number 8. And so the 8 is over here. Okay. What else can we do? These 3 cells sum up to 21. And they cannot contain the 9. And that means that this is a 6, 7, 8. So they cannot be a 1, 2, 3, 4, or a 5. So it's a 6, 7, 8. And since this is 6, 7, 6, 7, and digits cannot repeat, that's a pair, this must be the number 8. Okay. Now again, this cannot be the 9, because This is a shaft, and 9 plus 1 would be 10. Obviously, this cannot be the base, because if this was a base, you would have a base and shaft being in the same box. They cannot be the same value. Where does the number 1 go inside this row? Well, it can only go here or here. And that must mean, since these two values are consecutive, that the other value is the number 2. So this is a 1-2 pair. Alright, so you don't have the number 1 or the number 2 anywhere else in that box or row. Oops, I am blind. I need to pause the video and put my blinds down. Alright, that's so much better. The sun was beaming into my eyes. Let's keep going. What can we do? Number 1, okay. Number 7. Number 7 must go here. And so this is a 6, and then this is a 7. And so this is a 7, and then this is a 5, and then this is a 6. Okay. That's some good quick progress. Number 6 must go over here. Okay. Now, this cannot be an 8, because it has to be consecutive with this thing. And over here you cannot have an 8 for the same reason. Or a 6, because you don't have a 5 or a 7. So this is a 2, 3, 4, meaning that no matter what, number 3 has to be contained somewhere here. And so nowhere else in that row and box can you have the number 3. Let's go through the digits. So number 7 has to go over here in this box. Now number 7 is either here or here, and so it cannot be here, it must be here. This is a 7, giving us a 5-9 pair. So that means that we cannot have a 5 or a 9 over here. Okay. 2, 3, 4, that's a triple. So we don't have a 2, 3, or a 4 over here, meaning that this is a 6, and so this is the 8. And then this must be the 8. Highest value here is a 5, so this cannot be a 6 or a 5. This must be the 8. Then this is a 7, and so this is the 8. Okay? Now we're done with the number 8. Let's check the 9. The number 9 is still fighting. It's still fighting. Let's check the 7. So this cannot be the number 7, because we can see that this value is on this shaft, and the highest value here is an 8. So 7 plus 1 would already be an 8, and then this would be redundant. So this cannot be a 7, meaning that the number 7 in this box has to go over here. And so this is 7, and then this is 9. Okay, number 7's are already done. Let's check the 6. 6 is here or here, meaning that it cannot be up there. Okay. Now this cannot be too high of a value, obviously. It cannot be a 6, because if this was a 6, then this would be 1, 2, which would be a 9, and that's higher than the 8, which is the highest maximal value here. Now this cannot be a 5, because the minimal value here is a 3. 4, free 1. That would seem to work. Okay. Let's keep going. So, this is the 6. Check the 5. Okay, so these two cells sum up to 9. And without the 6, they cannot have a free. And without the 7, it cannot be a 2. So this is a 4, and then this is a 5. Okay. Now this is a 2 free pair, meaning that you don't have a 2 or a free in that column. And this is a 2 free pair, so for the same reason, no 2 nor free. Now, let's check again. So 1, and then let's check the 4, 5, what can we do? Three, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5, 6. It's a bit messy. Okay, so we have a 2 free pair down here. We don't have a 2 or a free over here. It's a lot of 2 free pairs, but I'm hoping to find something else. Oh, over here actually, the maximal value here is a free. So that means that this cannot be a free or a 4. This must be the 2, and so this is the free. And now this is a 1, and then this is a 2. Okay. So then this is the 2. These are consecutive, so this is a free. This is a 4. Okay, so since this is a 4, and that doesn't work that way, let's check the free. This is a 2, this is a free, this is free, this is 2, this is free. My intuition was so wrong, because I thought we have to solve the other stuff. It wouldn't be the 2 and the free that we get to solve first. So 2 is somewhere here, meaning that 2 cannot be here, so 2 is here. This is a 4, 5, 4, 5 pair, so you don't get 4 or 5 here, giving you a free. And then this is a 4, so this is a free, because they're consecutive. This is a 2, and then this is the free. Okay. This cannot be a 4, because the lowest value here is a 4, so this must be the 1. And now this sums up to 3, meaning that this must be the 5. So this is 4. And then this is 9, 5, 5, 5, 4. And then this is 4. Now this sums up to 3, so then this is the free. The only place for the 9 is right here. this is a 6, 5, 9. Okay. And let's go through the digits. 1, 2, 3. And then we have the 4. The 5. Okay, so this is a 2, meaning this has to be the 6. This is a 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 4. This is a 1, 4, 2, 6, 1, and 2. Wow, this was a pretty nice puzzle actually. I really enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one.